Today's game between Canada and Russia, this was the site of the opening doubleheader where they had 78,000 people here to watch the United States play. There's a look at the Canadian lineup, of course, without Silvana Bertini, and that's the key thing right there. We were hoping she'd be ready to go. Evidently, that hamstring's still bothering her.
One thing we noticed here is Mary Beth Bowie starting up front. She came on the last 10 or 15 minutes of the Norway game. She's actually one of the newer players on the team. I think she'll do quite well up there. She's a quick player. She's great on the ball. Superb footwork, so we'll see a lot from her up there.
Of course, the key thing for Canada is to get the ball to Charmaine Hooper. We'll see if that can happen. And as far as the Russians are concerned, we talked about it at the top of the show, Grigorieva and Letuchova, the powerful 1-2 punch up front, and we'll see if they've got some goals left in them. They sure had a lot against Japan.
Well, Grigorieva, from the start of this tournament, she was one of the players that we felt would be instrumental in the middle of the park, and she's certainly proven that. Even against Norway, when they were overmatched, she still was a key figure in that game, and that's a credit to her because they really didn't get a lot from the rest of the Russian players.
Canada began the tournament with a disappointing 1-1 tie against Japan. Everybody thought that Canada would have no difficulty against Japan. Did not turn out that way. Bertini scored the goal in that game for Canada, and then they were routed 7-1 by Norway. And Hooper scored the goal in that one. It was close for a while, but the Norwegians came through in a big way in the second half. Taking a look at the officials there for this game, 2 of them are from China. The third one is from North Korea. As far as the Russians are concerned, they lost by just 1 goal to Norway in their first game, and then they whitewashed Japan by a score of 5-0. And so they look to be a very tough opponent for Canada to face today. Their first ever appearance in the World Cup. So they were a bit of an unknown, but we know a lot about them now.
Yeah, they're one of the nicest teams to watch actually on the field. They have a nice possession game. They've got crisp passes. All the players look comfortable on the ball. Great control. They're a very, very nice team to watch. And if Canada can shut down those passes, they should do very well today.
Canada wearing red, Russia wearing white. Canada will move from left to right on your screen. Russia will move from right to left. And we are just about set to go here. Canada against Russia. Giant Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. Canada wins this game, they will move into the quarterfinals. The only way they wouldn't with a win is if Japan somehow upsets Norway, and that is extremely unlikely. That game will take place a little later today. They won't be worrying about that. They'll just be worrying about trying to beat the Russians, something that won't be easy, and we will see now if they can accomplish that feat.
The other factor today is going to be the excessive heat, 90 degrees. Obviously humid as well, so that's something that neither team would be that familiar with, but they're going to have to cope with it, that's for sure.
The Russians also should be recovering from some jet lag. They've traveled from East Coast to West Coast and back to the East Coast again, and that should have a little bit of an effect on them, I would think.
And so we are underway at Giant Stadium. Canada controlling the ball in the early seconds of this game and moving on to the attack right off the bat. That's Shannon Rosenau with the ball. In for Tanya Frank. Russians take over. Canada's best moments in both games were in the first half. They played much stronger in the first half, both against Japan and against Norway, than they did in the second half. So we'll see if that theme holds true today against Russia.
Well, today they don't have a choice. They have to play 90 minutes. 45 minutes is not going to be enough. They have to win this game. They know that they have to go out for a full 90 minutes.
The Russians, as we pointed out, started the tournament in Boston, then they went right across the continent to Portland for their second game against Japan, and now back to New York for their final game in the round-robin affair. So who knows if jet lag is a factor. I kind of think that the Russians will be strong regardless of that.
Well, for Russia, it's the first time at a Women's World Cup. They are obviously feeling quite good about themselves right now. The only problem that I can envision for Russia is they will get through with a draw, and sometimes the attitude of mind is you've got the draw, that'll get you through, and you're quite comfortable with that. But that can be very misleading and dangerous to do, is to play for the draw right from the outset.
One thing I expected, and actually I see it going on right here, is Amy Walsh seems to be marking Grigorieva. That'll be a really good matchup. Amy Walsh is one of the stronger players on the team, one of the faster players on the team. She should be able to keep Grigorieva pretty safe there.
Canada challenging here a little bit. The ball in the box there for a moment. Canada unable to control it, and eventually it's knocked out of danger. Charmaine Hooper, we see we focusing on her constantly here. She's scored 1 goal, and she's the player that Canada counts on offensively, as Shannon Rosenau now has the ball. momentarily at least. Taken away by Krejcova.
Russia definitely has numbers back there, eh, Bob?
They have numbers back. Canada are playing with their familiar 3-5-2. One of the problems they've had in the previous two games is when they've been under pressure, the sweeper Helen has ended up almost on the top of Nikki Wright. And that's one of the things they want to try to guard against today, is not to get pushed too far back. And in the early going of this match, they've done a good job of that.
Tanya Frank trying to keep the ball in play with a cross in front. Over the keeper's head. It's still loose and then knocked free. Svetlana Petko, the Russian keeper, went out for that ball, misjudged it, and it was laying there dangerously for a moment. Canada unable to capitalize.
Well, that was an excellent cross from the right, something that Canada have had problems with in the previous two games, but a great early cross. And fortunately for Russia, Petko just able to get her hand on it. A couple of Canadians in the area, but none of them could get on the end of it.
Good cross from Tanya Frank. 24-year-old from Scarborough, Ontario, has 2 goals for her country. A lot of the play so far in the Russian zone. This is Natalia Krejcova.
Well, we talked about the travel being counterproductive to the Russians. The heat, not necessarily favoring either team, but in this early going, Canada, no question, has the stronger legs, more so than the Russians.
Well, and they also have more at stake, because as you pointed out, a draw will do it for Russia, not so for Canada. Throw into Russia. Cheverda will put it in play.
Well, exactly what I would have expected Canada to do. They're marking tightly. They're not letting the Russians get control of the ball, and that's the way they're going to be successful in this game.
Borakova, Marina Borakova clearing for Russia. Canada keeps knocking it back in, however.
Jared Donnelly with some nice touches in the first few plays of the game, created a few chances for the Canadian side.
Jerry Donnelly, the veteran, the 33-year-old, the most capped player for Canada. We wondered if maybe she was tiring a little bit. She didn't appear to be too strong in that game against Norway, but of course the final score was 7-1, so you can't say too much about that, I suppose. The Russian player down is Titania Cheverda, and she's got a bit of a scrape on her knee there. And she's going to elect to stay down and now and get some help, I guess.
Well, the positive for Canada is in the early going, any of the 50-50 balls that have been there, they've won the majority of them. They're taking the game to Russia. Russia are back on their heels right now. Isabel Harvey down the left is doing a good job of getting into good crossing positions. And right now we have a corner, which will be another test on the Russian defense.
Isabel Harvey down the left side, Tanya Frank down the right side. Svetlana Petko had an anxious moment a moment ago. She was able to get a finger on the ball and clear it out of danger. And here comes the corner for Canada. Headed away by Russia.
Another chance at it.
But it's back to Harvey, who puts it back in again. The keeper comes out, and Petko is able to beat 3 Canadians to it, including Charmaine Hooper, and bring it down.
Well, Isabel Harvey gave a great example of the fact that she's obviously quite comfortable on either foot. She swung the cross in with her right foot, and then on the next cross hit it in with her left foot. Unfortunately, she just put a little bit too much air on it, and that allowed Petko to come out and catch the cross quite comfortably.
Tanya Frank coming back well there to double team the Russian player and winning the ball off of her.
That was Letuchova, Olga Letuchova, who scored 2 against Japan, the Russians' first real foray into the Canadian defensive zone. Here they come again. And that's Letuchova again. Good work by the Canadian back line to clear it away.
A little bit of indecision in the Russian defense. That's 2 occasions now where Petkov has come late to come and get the ball, and that's good for Canada because right now Russia do not seem all that comfortable at the back, and it's important that Canada keep the pressure on. This is no doubt the strongest performance that Canada has had from the opening whistle. You pointed out in the previous 2 games that they had good first halves, but it wasn't until they got settled down after 10 minutes that took place. But this is a good performance right from the outset.
Number 11 for Canada, Shannon Rosenau, who plays up front. Rosenau and Hooper up front for Canada as Kareseva. There are two Karesevas in the starting lineup for Russia. That's number 4, Natalia. Also, Olga is number 14. All cleared away by Russia. That's Isabelle Morneau chasing it down for Canada against Barbashina.
Approximately 10 minutes gone. We've not heard from Igorova in the middle of the park. That's a good sign for Canada. Amy Walsh is obviously doing a good job on her.
Russia coming forward here now. This could be dangerous. And that's Grigorieva right there. No sooner do you mention she hasn't done anything and she gets the ball into the Canadian zone, cleared away effectively.
And there's her tremendous footwork we see there. She's able to take on players, and with her quick quality footwork, she can get by a lot of players. We've got to be careful of that.
Natalia Kareseva coming away for Russia.
Jerry again, nice touches on the ball.
Hooper with the ball forward to Frank. And then sent in, that was a wayward one that was nowhere near anybody, and Petko takes over easily. And then sent back to Canada's keeper, Nikki Wright, who was bombarded by Norway, played very well despite allowing the 7 goals. She made some tremendous saves in that game.
Get compact now, midfield!
We just heard a shout from the Canadian bench, and that was Neil Turnbull suggesting that they get compact in midfield. And as I indicated at the outset, what they want to try to do is stay nice and tight, not allowing the Russians any space in the middle of the park.
Some good work by Isabelle Harvey a moment ago before losing the ball. Fairly quiet start to this game. Canada with perhaps the territorial advantage. Nothing to show for it yet. Long ball sent too far forward. Harvey will try and chase it down. She's beaten to the ball, however, by the Russian defender. Prokova. Comes Harvey again. And that ball just didn't have much on it.
Harvey's definitely been one of the more dominant players on the Canadian side. Not playing a lot of games with at the international level, she's actually proven herself to be quite competitive.
A mistake right there allows the Russian player to get free. I think that was number 11, Letichova, who had a go at it. Yes, it was.
And that's what Canada will have to guard against, is the long ball down the middle. They've been a little suspect in the previous 2 games to that. What they'll have to do is just be nice and tight at the back when they are attacking, because obviously Russia will be looking to try and catch Canada on the counterattack.
And right now it looks like that's the only way they're going to get in Canada's end. Canada seems to be pressuring them very well.
That's Amy Walsh sending the ball through, and again, it's just out of the reach. It's obvious they're trying to get the ball to Hooper and Rosenau up front, and sometimes those balls are just too long.
Well, if they can keep just a little bit comfortable possession, which they actually did at the outset, and go side to side and wait for that space to develop up front. What they've got to do is not panic. The game is 90 minutes long. They don't want to start hitting long, hopeful balls into the box this early.
Foul there as the Canadian player, that's Hooper, taken down. And she's feeling the effects of that one. Filipova, number 16 for Russia, Natalia Filipova with the foul on Hooper.
Charmaine's been asking for the ball more in this game than I think I've seen her in the past 2 games. You can tell she's prepared for this game. She wants to get involved early, and when she does, that's when we're effective.
Well, and we saw in the Norway game that she did get involved a lot early in Canada, and she got the goal, and Canada was close for 45 minutes.
That's right. Today's game, she definitely has to be involved for a full 90 minutes.
And one of the things she seems to have been doing, as we see Tanya Frank, is Charmaine Hooper seems to be gravitating more and more to that central striker position. She's indicated that's where she feels she's best. Right now, Neil Turnbull has her as the attacking midfielder, but she certainly seems to be spending more time up front than she does in the middle of the park.
12 minutes gone in the first half. 0-0 the score at Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. A win for Canada will put them through to the quarterfinals. All Russia needs is a tie, and they will join Norway from Group C. Russia controlling, but then Jerry Donnelly takes it, and Canada's able to clear it away. Long ball here for Shannon Rosenau. She has a bit of space to maneuver right now. Can she get it across? There it is in front, and there was a chance right there.
Mary Beth Bowie.
Mary Beth Bowie, who we haven't seen a whole lot from, but she, in a bit of a stunning way, came right through and nearly did get a foot on it, but couldn't get it home.
Great ball in from Rosenau to the near post. Keeper not be able to get there, and fortunately for Russia, unfortunately for Canada, the ball was cleared for a corner. But that attack started from the Canadian defense, and that's when we're talking about comfortable possession, it's important to try to keep it.
There's another ball sent in front. And finally cleared away by Russia, but some good offensive work here from Canada in the first 15 minutes of this game.
I think
Hooper with a bit of a foul there. Go ahead.
Like I mentioned in the previous games, for Canada to be successful, they have to play possession soccer. And today we're seeing that, and we're seeing that they're creating more chances.
Charmaine Hooper looking to get the ball. She did so well against Norway after a tentative start against Japan. Norway proving just to be too powerful. And here we go again. This is Rosenau. She's got Hooper in the middle. Russian defenders there to take it away. 14, that's...
Great pressure by the Canadians, not giving the Russians any chance to settle. The Russians look tired, they look weary, and now what Canada needs to do is just continue with that pressure. A very unorthodox effort by Charmaine Hooper there.
She was like rolling down the side of a hill to try and get to that ball, but didn't have enough speed on her turn.
I think that just shows you how intense Canada is right now, how much they want to win this game.
Hooper again right there. Isabelle Morneau with a head on it. It's Komarova for Russia. Showing some speed down the right flank. Helen for Canada lets it go right through.
That was a good example of what we're doing well today versus what we were doing poorly against the Norwegians. Physically, when we got into 1-versus-1 situations, we always looked overmatched. Today, we're winning 80 to 90% of those challenges, and that was a good job by Isabelle Harvey to simply run the Russian attacker off the end of the field.
Ball into touch, throw into Canada. No, the referee from China says it's a throw into Russia. Number 5 is Titania Cheverda. Was hurt earlier, caught on her knee, but came back in. Here's Rosenau again, looking for this one. Can't get to it.
Rosenau giving those defenders a hard time up there.
That was a good touch from Rosenau to Frank, and then to Donnelly. Looking for Rosenau, that went astray, and Russia sends it back the other way. Donnelly again. Morneau. Canada with good possession for the most part, and Russia just clearing it out when they can. Isabelle Harvey can't quite handle that one. Burakova moves away for Russia. But once again, Canada rounds up the ball at midfield and takes over.
Russia not playing through the middle of the park at all, seemed quite content to just try and pick out the front men and knock it in behind the Canadian defense, but the Canadian defense right now is strong.
And there's Shannon Rosenau winning a ball in the corner and getting it in front. And another opportunity for Canada, so they're doing very well, especially down the flanks, as you pointed out, on both sides.
And Shannon Rosenau, this has been her most effective game as well. She's held the ball up well, she's got into good crossing positions, and is causing problems for the Russian defense.
Cooper flicking it to Frank. Sends it across, and there's Oh, a great chance there. I think that was Jerry Donnelly who had a go at that one. Yes, it was. Canada's veteran, the 33-year-old Jerry Donnelly of Port Moody, BC. With a good crack at that, just could not control the ball.
One of the other impressive aspects of the Canadian performance in this first 20 minutes is they seem to have shed the nerves. They have not been anxious. They've got Russia back on their heels, and they're very, very confident right now.
Controlling most of the play, too. It's been in the Russian zone most of the time, and it's not Russia holding the ball there. It's Canada attacking for the most part. Letuchova chasing this one down against Frank. Frank winning the ball, though. Janine Helen. She puts it right to Grigorieva. She's the dangerous one of the dangerous ones. Russia still with the ball.
Canada doing a lot of chasing right now. The only danger with that is that with the heat and humidity, that as the game wears on, that's obviously going to take its effect on them. But they're doing a great job of closing down right now. Every player on the Canadian team is making it their effort to make sure that they can close down the nearest Russian player.
That attempt from Natalia Kareseva goes all the way to Nikki Wright, who's found herself in a spot of trouble there momentarily. Barbashina all over her, threatening to beat her to the ball. Hooper taken down again. They've been on her a lot today. Filipova again. Isabelle Harvey now for Canada. Keeps possession. Good run for Harvey. She's got Hooper in the box, and she can't get it across to her. But again, more good work from Isabelle Harvey down that left side.
Isabelle Harvey, definitely not afraid to take on players, and you see it there, taking on two players from the Russian side and definitely outpacing them. With a great cross there. Gets a corner out of it.
Burakova knocking it away in the corner to Canada. Into the box it goes. It's still loose there and then finally cleared away. Canada will keep the pressure on, though. Morneau. Pardon me, that was Charolta Nonen. I think that might have been her first touch on the ball, too. Charolta Nonen knocking that one down, and Harvey will put it back in play for Canada. Into the box, and there's the header attempted by Hooper. Tanya Frank chases it down. She's got Kareseva all over her.
Canada doing very well at varying the attack. There's the occasions where they'll go down the middle, and then they're also using the flanks, and that's where Isabelle Harvey in the early stages has been very successful. I'd keep getting the ball to her right now and asking her just to get at the Russian defenders because they look a little legless.
Well, she has shown on several occasions that she can beat them one-on-one and retain possession and get those crosses through. Russia regrouping here. Down the right side. This is good work here from Russia. Good defensive work as well from Canada. Isabelle Harvey doing it at both ends.
That wasn't even called by the linesman.
Like the way that went, though.
Yeah.
And Isabelle Harvey gives you a good example of what's required from the wide flank players. She was up at the other end crossing, and now we see her back defending on the other goal line, and that's very, very tiring.
The first corner kick of the day for Russia. Not a very good one.
Russia look a very tired team right now. They're void of ideas. Really, Canada have them on the ropes. What they need to do is just hit them with that knockout blow.
Cross in, and Nikki Wright is there, and at 5'11", she'll get most of those balls that are lofted in.
Definitely not the Russia team we've seen again in the last two games, that's for sure.
Well, Russia played very well despite losing their first game to Norway. Lost by only 2-1. And then they had no problem against Japan the other night. 5-0 was the count there. Canada could only tie Japan 1-1. But yes, they seem tired in this one.
We have to give credit to Canada, too. They're They're definitely playing them very well, keeping them shut down so they can't play that possession style of soccer.
Letuchova, so dangerous, scoring twice against Japan. Grigorieva set up 3 goals in that game. They've been shut down so far by a strong and stingy Canadian backline. Part of the reason is because Canada's been so strong up front. Here we go again, looking for more, but that one won't go anywhere. Mary Beth Bowie can't chase it down, and Russia will keep it.
A little bit of a miscommunication there between Bowie and Isabel Harvey. Both thought the other was taking it, and unfortunately the ball ran off the end of the field.
Mary Beth Bowie, a midfielder. She's 20 years old, from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. One of the, I think as you pointed out earlier, Helen, one of the more inexperienced players on the team.
Right. Her and Charlotte Nonan, 2 of the more inexperienced, newer players on the team, but both doing a very good job.
Rosenau trying to flick it through, cleared away by Russia. Amy Walsh against Grigorieva. Grigorieva wins that one. Now she's on attack, and she's got Luchova up ahead of her. And that one went right through to Nikki Wright. So that was one of the more dangerous forays we've seen from the Russians so far.
And that was as a result of, on one of the only occasions that Amy Walsh has come second best to Grigorieva in the middle of the park.
Oh, a dangerous attempt on the ball there from Charmaine Hooper on that one. She got the foot up high and she caught the Russian.
Grigorieva looked a little fatigued after that run, though.
The stretcher comes out immediately, or I'm not sure who the Russian player was that went down, but it was obvious that Charmaine Hooper, going for the ball, got her foot high and clipped her up around the face or head area somewhere. And they waste no time in getting her off on the stretcher. That's number 3, Marina Burakova.
Getting the stretcher on. Here we see Amy Walsh in the battle. Just a little nudge, not a foul, just a little nudge, and that allowed Grigorieva to get in on goal. And in the end, really didn't result in anything dangerous in the Canadian goal.
And there's the kick by Charmaine Hooper, and she did, unintentionally of course, but she caught her, I think, maybe on the forehead or around the nose area. And lo and behold, she's all better.
Well, prior to the stretcher rule, that used to be an opportunity to get a nice long rest, which I think the Germans are looking for, or the Russians are looking for right now. But now with the stretcher coming on so quickly, you don't get that opportunity.
Here comes Canada on the attack. It's Amy Walsh sending it through. Taken away by the Russians. Karaseva. Challenged successfully by Donnelly there. But Russia still has the ball, this time in the Canadian zone. Letuchova. That was Grigorieva trying to set up Letuchova again, and that didn't work. The Russians perhaps playing a little bit better the last couple of minutes. They seem to be able to move the ball out of their own end a little better than they were.
And as much as Canada has certainly played as well as they've played in the tournament thus far, they still don't have a lot of goal-scoring chances to show for their territorial domination.
Here comes Hooper right now. Perhaps this is one right here, but no. Challenged and tackled successfully there, and that looked promising for Canada. Oh, a good move there by Grigorieva. This is Komarova. Good run for Komarova. And she's got support up there. That was a bad ball there, and it's taken away by Canada. Harvey sends it back. Hooper with one touch on it. Canada controlling Donnelly.
I think that's the longest string of passes I've seen Canada have in the last.
That was a number. I didn't count them, but there were a lot of them there. Successful.
And on a day where it's as hot as it is today, the ball is like gold. You want to keep possession of it. You want to make your opponents chase you around.
Still 0-0. We've played more than 25 minutes here in the first half. This is the final weekend of round-robin play. Teams in Group C and D playing today. Teams in Group A and B will play tomorrow. Games are double headers. After this game at Giant Stadium, it'll be China against Australia. And then later today at Soldier Field in Chicago, it's Ghana against Sweden and Norway against Japan. Norway, of course, already through to the quarterfinals. Japan all but eliminated. They would have to beat Norway to have a chance, and that would be very unlikely. Canada continuing to control the ball. Here's Hooper trying to get a touch on it. She can be dangerous in situations like that, but not this time. Egorova clears it away. And here's Komarova. Chased by Isabel Harvey. Komarova sends it in front. Nikki Wright is there. She was probably looking for Letichova, number 11, couldn't get it across to her.
Well, what's happening is Canada obviously took the initiative from the outset. Maybe they're feeling a little fatigued right now, but the Russians are starting to look stronger. So if Canada can just up their game just a little bit and try and take that initiative back.
Here's Tanya Frank trying to put it in front. Loose into the box, but the Russian defender is closest there and clears it away. Here's Harvey again. She has played so well so far. To Donnelly. And that one didn't work either. But again, Canada possessing the ball in the Russian zone, unable to penetrate here. Rosa now for Hooper.
A few too many players pushing up for the Canadian side. Doesn't seem like they have enough players supporting the strikers. They're all moving up in a line, and you can see that right there.
And Russia are starting to, well, not starting to, they have from the outset. Good run down the right here. And again, Isabel Harvey has just tracked up and down that left-hand flank. And I just hope that she can last for 90 minutes.
Well, she's definitely one of the fittest players on the Canadian squad, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Here's Hooper with the ball in the box, moving in front, and can't connect with that one. But that was a good opportunity there for Charmaine Hooper.
Like you said earlier, Bob, they still have to stay composed. They can't get too eager. They can't all move forward. They got to keep their structure. And for them, they can't just expect to score goals quickly. If they're not going to score them, they got to create them and have that structure ready.
And they've had success when they've attacked down the flanks, in particular on the left.
This time they keep possession in the back. Janine Helen moves it forward. Header from Rosenau, looking for Hooper, didn't happen. Jerry Donnelly moving forward. Komarova challenged successfully, but it's Russia's ball here. Komarova showing to be quite speedy down that right flank for Russia. Isabel Harvey playing so well for Canada. Kodakova sends it down. Allen lets it go for Nikki Wright.
That defense is the most stable I've seen them as well. Not giving away possession, changing the side of the ball, putting it from one side to the other. It looks really, really solid back there.
Oh, a tackle there by Tanya Frank on number 4, Natalia Kareseva. And that was a tough one. Both players appear to be shaken up a little bit. Kareseva perhaps getting the worst of it. She's still down. Let's have a look at how this one happened.
Well, Tanya Frank deciding she's going to win this regardless of whether it's running off the side of the field or not. And that's great. I think that's just an example of the attitude that Canada have come out with. She really didn't need to go and win the ball at that point, but she did. And she got the ball, and she also got the Russian player.
Who is still down. Natalia Kareseva, the Russian defender. Slow to get up, and Tanya Frank is being carded for that.
Tell Charmaine and Mary Beth to take two up front. Let's go.
Oh, she got a little cut from that, too.
She's also cut, and Kareseva is still down. So play continues here on the tough challenge from Tanya Frank.
Well, when Tanya Frank being off the field is a FIFA rule. If you are actually bleeding, you can't stay on the field and you have to come off and have it either stitched up or, and I don't think it's as serious as that, or at least stop the bleeding.
Tanya Frank is being plagued by head cuts. She actually had a 6-stitcher at camp the first week.
Play continuing here now. Russia's ball. Over half an hour gone. First half, and Kareseva is back on the pitch. Olga Kareseva to put the ball in play. Knocked away by Sharolta Nonen. Still Russia's ball.
We've talked about Canada's defending, and the back three are doing a good job today, but more importantly, the front men are putting the Russian midfielders and defenders under pressure, and that makes the players' job at the back that much easier.
Another corner kick to Russia, this time from the near side. This is their first corner kick from this side. And it's a short one, taken by Grigorieva to Kareseva. Into the box, Sharolta Nonen clears it away. Not out of danger, however. Russia's still controlling. And there's a good tackle by Hooper, and she moves away with it. But then gives the ball up herself. And that was a little bit dangerous. Indecision there between Nikki Wright and the Canadian defender, and that could have been a problem.
Well, Nikki Wright was coming. The question is, did she yell out that command to the last Canadian defender? And it didn't look like it, but the Canadian defender did the right thing. In those circumstances, if you're in any doubt, just clear the ball out and regroup.
Kareseva challenged by Frank. Those two involved just a moment ago. Frank, who had to go off by virtue of being cut, she's back in. That's Kareseva, yes. Still with the ball. Komarova. Pardon me, that's Grigorieva. Your big setup person. Sends it in there too far.
Disappointing for Grigorieva in the middle of the park must be that she's not getting a lot of support and not getting a lot of options as she's running with the ball. In that case, she simply had to play it into the box and hope that one of the Russian attackers would get on the end of it. But there's not a lot of movement from the Russian players.
Here's Isabelle Harvey again. More nice work. She is dynamite out there today. Rosenau moving into the center. Handing it off to Frank, who has a run at it, and that's a great shot and a good save by Petko. The best scoring opportunity yet. That ball had the right bend on it, but Petko got over there and knocked it down. Great chance for Tanya Frank. That's the best scoring opportunity we've seen yet.
Good bit of build-up, and Tanya Frank did everything right. She hit the ball across the face of the goal, forcing Petko to make a save. Would have been nice if a Canadian attacker had been there on the rebound.
Nice to see Tanya Frank get into that scoring position as well. It's for Shannon to play that ball to her.
Well, I don't think anyone would argue that Frank has had her best game so far, right here.
Shannon Rosenau lays it nicely into the spade, right across the face of the goal. Good save by Petko.
Frank and Harvey playing very well down the flanks for Canada in the first half of this game. 35 minutes gone. Isabelle Harvey now.
Canada must keep using the width. Stretch the Russian defenders, and then once they're stretched, either get good crosses into the box or play balls into Charmaine Hooper up front when there's less Russian defenders around. So use the width of the field as much as they can.
Canada's ball here at midfield. Isabelle Harvey knows what the mission is, and she's determined to get it accomplished here. She has been playing very well on the left side. Russia in control at this point. Kareseva is taken away from her. Work from Rosenau. There's Frank sending it ahead. There's Harvey again. Chipping one forward. That was for Rosenau. Didn't work. Russia controlling the ball here. Olga Karaseva. It's Natalia Karaseva sending it in, but it's taken away, and Canada will counter.
The Russian defense have simply backed off to the edge of their box. Every time a Canadian player receives the ball in the final third of the field, they've got acres of space if they turn and run at the Russian defense. I don't know whether it's fatigue or whether it's tactics at this point, but Russia have opened the whole field up by simply just sitting back in their own end and not pushing out.
Well, as we've pointed out, and they obviously know, a tie is all they need to move forward. Are they going to play that style for this game?
Well, you'd be tempting fate if you did that with 10 minutes left in this half and a good 45 in the second. From Canada's point of view, it's important, as we've indicated numerous times, not to get anxious, to continue to play possession and wait for the quality chances versus just trying to hit a ball into the box and hope that something's going to happen.
Ball sent in front for Hooper. She was double teamed right there, and so Russia clears it away. Rosenau.
Definitely got to use the space there.
Well,
Russia's
Harvey's using it right there,
Yep.
sending it back in front. Hooper had a touch on it, and there's Rosenau with a shot, and that's off the mark.
Russia's crowding that middle area, and Canada's got to use different tactics to get around it, get it to the flanks.
And there's Silvana Bertini, who's been bothered by a hamstring since well before the tournament began. All indications over the last day or so was that she would be ready to go today, but that's not the case, and so she's forced to watch from the sidelines. And I wonder if this game is still scoreless with 10 or 15 minutes to go, would she come on?
I would think she would. If she's at all capable, that would be the time to take advantage of her goal-scoring prowess. And if she injures herself, if they don't win today, then there's nothing beyond this anyways.
Now, from my indications, her wearing the pinny, she must be warming up on the sidelines.
With the yellow singlet
With a
on.
yellow pinny on, that's usually an indication that a player's warming up. Perhaps she's just testing it out to see how it feels.
Perhaps. I didn't notice if any of the other Canadian substitutes had pinnies on.
They didn't.
Canada controlling right now. We'll have to see. Is Bertini going to make an early entrance into this game? Tanya Frank. Helen sends it forward. It's headed on for Hooper. Good challenge there from Hooper to Rosenau. For Frank. Still in possession. She'll send it across, and there it goes. Loose in the box there. Everybody was spread out. That ball was available, but Russia comes away with it. Barbashina was looking for Grigorieva, was knocked away. This is Egorova. Javerda knocking it forward. Morneau, then for Harvey. Now for Harvey, pardon me. And cleared away again by Russia. Canada throw in. Cleared by Russia, not out of danger. Grigorieva then moves it away. And Canada quick there to regain possession. They're very quick on the ball, aren't they, right now?
Well, it's nice to see them coming out strong in such a big game.
Well, the difference from previous games is that once they lose possession in the opposing team's end, as opposed to dropping off, which they did in the first two games, they're trying to repossess as quickly as possible. And the Russians are not coping with that very well at this point.
Good move there, sends the Russians on the attack. That's Letachova, unable to get through. Nikki Wright, a little bit tentative there.
Good defending, though. Helen just held up. She was 1 versus 1, couldn't afford to sell herself, held the Russian forward up, and then support came from the other Canadian defenders.
Schrolt and Nonen doing a great job to come back and cover up for Janin.
Letachova with that opportunity for Russia. She's dangerous, we know that. She hasn't had much of an opportunity yet in this game. This This is right for Canada, clearing it downfield. Letichova in behind. Pardon me, Letichova's in front in the box waiting for the cross, which doesn't come.
Canada defending with good discipline today, not selling themselves and running with the Russian attackers, and in that case another good job of standing up and unfortunately giving away a corner.
Just 3 minutes plus stoppage time still to go in the first half. Amy Walsh setting things up. There's Barbashina for Russia. And it's a short kick. Grigorieva takes a run at it from there, and Nikki Wright had to be sharp to pull that one down.
Canada from that position, what they must do is get the fullbacks off the line, because they simply just played all the Russian attackers onside by staying back on the line and making it difficult for Nikki Wright. Here we see a flick, and both Canadian fullbacks are still on the line. They need to be out once the ball goes out past the penalty box.
And guess what that was? That was Grigorieva and Letichova. That tandem again coming close for Russia, their best chance of the game so far. Throw into Russia. Waning moments here in a scoreless first half. One good opportunity for each team so far. It was Tanya Frank earlier for Canada, and then Grigorieva with the header by Letichova just a moment ago for Russia. Hooper for Canada. Donnelly. Headed away by Russia. Center part of the field clogged up here, and now Russia comes away with it. Grigorieva. Kareisova. Frank takes it from her. Walsh.
Mary Beth with a Bowie with a nice
Bowie
run.
with a run there. She's had a couple of decent touches on the ball in the first half.
Neither team would be too disappointed with that first half. Physically, the Canadians look stronger. They've had more possession. But in terms of good goal-scoring opportunities, it's been one at either end. And what Canada must do is, if they go in level at the half, just make sure that they don't panic in the second half. There's lots of time left. And Russia, if they play kitty bar the door, they're tempting fate.
Russia spreading things out a little bit here, attempting to move forward. They're into extra time, into stoppage time here in the first half. Janine Helen, good challenge there. It was Rosenau on Cheverda, who gets the ball forward, and it's Russia's ball.
Both teams playing 3-5-2. The biggest difference is that Russia are quite content to sit back in their own end. Canada, on the other hand, any chance the ball gets cleared, they're pushing their back line up and they're squeezing the field, making it very tight. And that's why they've had more of the territorial advantage in the first half.
Russia coming forward here, and a long attempt. It's really had no chance. Nikki Wright easily clearing the ball away. Canada on the attack again. That one for Hooper doesn't get through.
Jared Donnelly, again, the general there. Springing players, and that's what she's all about.
Russia still in possession. Egorova. She was knocked off the ball successfully by Shannon Rosenau. Harvey then.
I think both teams will be looking forward to the final whistle, not the final whistle, but the halftime whistle. They both look a little tired and more than likely need that 15 minutes in the changing room to regroup, and probably more so the Russians than the Canadians.
Well, as time has wound down, so has the pace in this game. temperature at 90 degrees Fahrenheit, you can understand why. And there's the half whistle now. And so it did peter out just a little bit, perhaps the heat and humidity getting to both sides. A good scoring opportunity for Charmaine Hooper's team. That was Tanya Frank a little earlier. And then a good scoring opportunity for the Russians, as Barbashina considers what might happen now in the second half. The score after one half at East Rutherford, New Jersey, Canada 0 and Russia 0. Back in a moment.
Well, initially it looked like Russia was wilting towards the latter stages of the first half. Both teams seem to be affected by the fatigue. And now they've had a little break, so they should be recharged and ready to go. And if Canada can come out and start the second half the way they did the first, then that's going to augur well for them.
The best scoring opportunity of the first half from Canada came from a strike by Tanya Frank that was bending nicely, but the keeper Svetlana Petko reached out and knocked it away. And then a few minutes later, Russia had a decent chance on goal. Grigorieva and Letuchova teaming up, and here's Grigorieva right now trying to send it in front, and she'd like to probably have another shot at that one.
Be interesting to see how Russia responds to this Canadian attack. If they're going to close down a little bit quicker, not give the Canadians as much space, because they, as you said earlier, Bob, they did have a lot of space in that first half. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Canada's World Cup future at USA 99 is on the line right here. They'll have to score at least once in order to advance. They have to win this game. Isabelle Morneau. Goes again. Harvey there fighting for it. Shannon Rosenau is there with her, but Russia comes away. This is Egorova. Good work there from the Russian attack. This looks dangerous, and in behind everybody. Oh, and here's another chance. It looked as though Letuchova was going to get another chance. I think that was Barbashina who had the first chance right there. Wow.
Well, Russia have shown more jump in this first couple of minutes than they did throughout the entire first half. Great ball through to Barbashina. Unfortunately, her first touch let her down. She pushed it too far ahead of herself. But once again, credit Nikki Wright for coming out and making the big save.
The best opportunity of the second half for Russia right there. Natalia Barbashina. And then Olga Letuchova nearly getting it. Meanwhile, it goes for a corner kick to be taken by Gomarova. She sends it in front. Knocked clear. So not the kind of start Canada wanted to this second half, to be sure. Olga Kareseva. Russia appearing to come out in this second half determined to have more possession of the ball. And they've done that so far. Good work there from Komarova. What was that all about?
A very late whistle. I don't know whether the advantage was being played or what, but once the whistle doesn't go, you don't expect it to go a good couple of seconds after the foul was committed.
Well, yeah, it was well after the fact. Amy Walsh, now what's the call on that one?
Exactly the same, another late whistle.
And a yellow card to Isabelle Harvey.
That's very harsh.
That looked rather innocuous, I thought. Have another look.
Well, Isabelle Harvey had a little tug, but that was all, just a little one. But I guess that was enough to warrant the yellow card.
So two Canadians with yellow cards, Tanya Frank and Isabelle Harvey, the two people who have played so well down the flanks for Canada. Free kick into the box, not out of danger yet. And then finally, Cheryl Tanonen clears it away.
Perhaps not attacking that cross as much as I would have expected the Canadian defense to do.
Well, on both counts, I would have thought the Russians would have been attacking it as well, because it was actually a very good cross. Nikki Wright had no chance to come out. The Russians have definitely taken a different posture in the second half. They're not as far in their own end as they were in the first half.
And here's another opportunity. And that one is just struck high by number 6. That's Komarova.
Perhaps the Canadians now feeling the effects of that 90-degree weather because they are looking a little bit more fatigued out there. Not marking up as tightly.
Well, sometimes the complexion of a game can change after that break. It throws everything out of whack, and who knows whether it's the heat, humidity, or what. Or maybe the Russians have just changed their game plan, but they have definitely come on stronger here in the early stages of the second half. Burakova. Russia ball.
It's difficult to communicate from the sidelines as a coach, and I don't think the Russian coach would have been happy at all with the fact that his team was sitting back on the edge of their box. They obviously discussed it at the halftime, and we see that they're pushed up farther, certainly much farther than they were in the first half, and that's affected the game to the point where Russia have had pretty much most of the second half to date.
We've only played about 5 minutes, but it has been Russia's 5 minutes. Moving the ball forward again. Harvey knocking it away. Here's Hooper. Good work by Hooper. Looking for Rosenau or Mary Beth Bowie. Now Harvey. And here she goes again. That time she just put it ahead too far, and Cheverda was able to take it away. Here's Donnelly. Still in there. Amy Walsh will have a shot at it. Off the mark. Good bit there from Canada with Amy Walsh taking the shot.
And go back to Isabel Harvey's attempt to take on the Russian defender down the left. That resulted in this spell of pressure that Canada had. Even though she wasn't successful, she ended up getting the ball into the Russian end, and Canada were able to keep them penned in, and unfortunately Walsh was just a little off target on her shot.
And that, on the replay, that shot looked closer than it did the first time. That was not off the mark by much. A wayward ball there, and it'll be taken over by Petko.
As the half wears on, we'll definitely, we see Amy Walsh in the middle of the park, who has done a good job marking Russia's key playmaker. But what we'll see now is we'll see Russia taking as long as they can possibly take with any restarts. They'll be quite content to see this game finish 0-0. So any throw-ins or any free kicks, Russia will take their time. Canada, on the other hand, will be looking to get the ball back in play as quickly as possible.
Shannon Rosenau. Forward for Hooper. Ahead to Harvey. That was a good tackle there from number 3, Burakova. Morneau moves forward to keep it in. Egorova moves out. Here's Grigorieva.
Amy Walsh just tracking Grigorieva wherever she goes and doing a great job of that too.
Egorova. Russia pushing forward here. Komarova. Back for Egorova. Her ball across the middle is taken there for a shot, but she didn't get a good foot on that one. Nikki Wright takes over. That was Olga Karesova. Grigorieva again. Flicks it back for Karesova. Karesova, just 22 years old. Grigorieva one more time, moving into position and takes a shot at it, and she scores for Russia. From well out, a well-placed shot from Irina Grigorieva, the captain of this Russian team, and it's 1-0 Russia.
And we'd just spoken about how good a job Amy Walsh was doing on Grigorieva in the middle of the park. And you can't fault Amy Walsh on that. You've got to give credit to Grigorieva. Saw the space in front of her, took advantage of the space as the Canadian defenders came out. Grigorieva does a good job turning on the ball, seeing the space, and then unleashing the shot before anybody can get close to her, and Nikki Wright had no chance. We see it from behind. That's in the top corner. No chance for Nikki Wright. Great finish by Grigorieva.
Just under the bar for Irina Grigorieva, and it's 1-0 Russia, and so now Canada has to score at least twice. in order to win this game and move ahead. The task has become much more difficult all of a sudden.
Well, tactically, it'll be interesting to see if, in fact, well, here we see Silvana Bertina coming on.
Well, it's all or nothing now. I mean, if she's at all fit, if she can play any length of time at all, this is the time to put her in.
It's the time to put her in. And Neil will also need to be thinking about whether he wants to keep the spare man at the back or take a chance and push another forward ahead to try and get at least the equalizer and then put themselves in with a chance to actually win the game, because a draw, as we've said from the outset, is no good to them.
Silvana Bertini into the game. Mary Beth Bowie coming out. As Canada pushing forward, Rosenau and Hooper nearly teamed up there as the ball, loose ball, got flicked in behind. Flags up anyway.
Silvana Bertini already making her presence known on the field, just on for one or 2 minutes, and she's already had a few touches of the ball and almost created a scoring chance.
Well, they're going to need that from her, obviously, trailing 1-0 early in the second half.
And psychologically, it will be important for Canada not to feel anxious. And although you're going to feel anxious, because if the scoreline stays as it is, you're done. But there's still a lot of time left, and the Russians right now are quite compact at the back. And if Canada just resorts to trying to play balls into the box and hoping that something's going to happen, they're not going to get success. They need to continue to use the flanks, and in particular on the left, Isabelle Harvey, who's had a great game to date. And anytime she's got the ball, she's looked like making things happen.
Canada pushing forward. No sooner does Canada make a change with Bertini coming on than the Russians make one too. Natalia Barbashina comes off in favor of Larissa Savina. So Savina on for Barbashina, Bertini on for Canada in place of Mary Beth Bowie. Jerry Donnelly sending it forward. There's Hooper with a shot and a one-handed save by Petco. Canada continuing to press here now. Desperately finding that ball. That's Shannon Rosenau, but the Russians come away with it. A good opportunity there just moments ago by Hooper. Charlotte Nonen now sends it forward, but Petco got a hand on it. Here comes the Canadian attack again. Donnelly. Knocked away.
Well, it appears that Russia have also made a tactical decision to take Barbashina off up front, and Savina's come on, and I'm almost certain that she is more of a defensive player. So they're going to simply put players back in behind the ball, and it's going to be up to Canada to try to break that down in a creative way.
And like we said earlier, they have to stay disciplined and they have to keep the formation. They can't start sending long balls from the back and expect them to win balls with 6 defenders.
Unfortunate for Canada trailing 1-0 because they've played at least on a level with Russia and probably better, controlling the play, certainly in the first half. Came out of that first half scoreless and now trailing 1-0.
And you have to credit the coaching staff, the players, because it would have been easy after the first 2 results, the disappointing draw against Japan and the loss to Norway, to come out with their heads down. But they certainly haven't done that. They've given all that they have, and let's hope that they have a little bit more to give so that they can get back on level terms and then get the go-ahead goal.
Throw into Canada to be taken by Isabelle Harvey. Here's Hooper. Cutting off one challenge. But finally there were too many, but she was fouled, and so it's Canada's ball here. In a good position, too.
And that's what Canada needs more of. If Hooper can get on the ball in that final third and commit players, either she's going to get a chance, or as in this case, she's going to get hauled down in an area where Canada should be able to get a direct strike on goal.
A good spot for Canada to be in right here, taking this shot. Just outside the box. There's Jerry Donnelly. There it is, and he gets through, but Petko's there to knock it down.
Good effort by Donnelly, but Petko was well positioned to knock that for a corner.
So at least the pressure remains here for Canada with Harvey taking this corner. The number 10 right there, we'll be looking for it, no doubt about that. But first of all, another substitution by Russia. Number 7 is Tatiana Egorova coming off. 13 is Elena Fomina. So that's 2 substitutions for the Russians now.
And 2 of their best attackers have come off. So what we can determine from that is that they're going to simply just hold the fort for this last 35 minutes.
Here it is into the box and headed right at the keeper, Petko.
Sure,
Unlucky
Donnelly.
there for Donnelly. That was a good one.
Good connection on the ball there for one of the smaller players on the field.
Unfortunately, in that case, it was basically right at the keeper. She was in close enough. Had she been able to find a corner, it probably would have been a 1-1 score. That's Amy Walsh sending it down for Tanya Frank. Too far for her.
Donnelly perhaps had her most effective game to date in the middle of the park, has been prompting the forwards with balls into them and done a very good job defensively.
More than quarter of an hour gone here in the second half in a 1-0 game for Russia.
Donnelly is one of those players that most people don't hear a lot about, but she's one of the most consistent players on the Canadian women's national team.
Ball into the box. Camera worked a little bit slow on that one, and Petko was there to handle it. Isabelle Morneau sends it forward.
Well, Petko in the Russian goal, we've commented on it before from the previous game. She doesn't look anything flashy or outstanding, but she seems to be in the right position to make the save, and that's what you want from a keeper, just to make the routine save for you and not give a goal away.
Donnelly coming forward. Oh, she had Bertini in there, but couldn't get the ball to her. Grigorieva sends it down. Letuchova. And then Savina. Ball back in play. Russia in control. Broken up by Donnelly. Looking for Rosenau. Rosenau chasing it down, but Russia comes back with it. Donnelly again tips it forward. Here's Letuchova. Komarova.
Calling for an offside there, but it doesn't look like...
Oh, and that was dangerous for a moment, and then finally cleared away. Donnelly has it for Canada. Tanya Frank.
Nice little ball to split the defense and get the ball to Tanya Frank there from Donnelly.
Now we can see that the players are all breathing a little heavy right now. As we indicated, 90 degrees, very hot, very humid. And for Canada, it's all on the line right now, so whatever they've got left, they need to give it.
And from the Canadian point of view, you'd have to be concerned about Harvey and Frank because they've been doing so well, running a lot down the flanks. Remains to be seen how much they'll have left. There's Bertini chasing after that one.
Still has a lot of speed.
Against Burakova, yeah, she showed speed there, regardless of the hamstring problem.
Russia's got numbers back on that defensive end.
Harvey, no, they rule that was out, I guess. Russia's ball. Good work there to take over the ball. That's Harvey now. That was Morneau that made that good defensive play. And now here's Canada on the attack with Hooper. Long ball for Rosenau doesn't work. Here comes Hooper again. Foiled again.
Well, you have to wonder at what point Neil Turnbull will opt to push more men forward. Right now he's stuck with the 3-5-2. At some stage, I'm sure he'll consider releasing that spare man at the back to provide more numbers up front.
You've been in this situation. When is it too early? When is it too late down by 1 in a game where you have to get 2?
Well, when you get to 10 minutes, you seriously start thinking about it then.
And there's another goal for Russia. Just inside the post. A great strike there from Fomina. Elena Fomina, number 13, and Nikki Wright is devastated by that one.
Well, Nikki Wright's probably devastated because he's not had a lot to do today, and there's 2 goals that have gone by her, and both goals were great strikes from 20 to 25 yards out.
Elena Fomina, who came on as a substitute here in the second half, set up by Grigorieva, and here it is.
Wow, really no chance again. In on the short side, but great first touch, and the second touch, the ball was in the back of the net. Well,
so now, sorry, Bob, go ahead.
You actually talked about highlight reel goals that they'd scored against Japan, and the 2 in this game have been exactly the same. They're both great goals. Neither goal you could really fault any of the Canadian players for.
That goal coming in the 66th minute, and so Canada's chances now are bleak at best.
It's really too bad because Canada's outplayed Russia in this game.
Petko taking over for Russia at this point, and will clear it downfield. 2-0, Russia leads on a goal in the 66th minute by substitute Elena Fomina. And that has put Canada in a very deep hole. Here's Isabelle Harvey.
If we look back to the game that Russia played against Norway, only giving up 2 goals against a very good Norwegian team, perhaps that we thought that may have been a bit fortunate, but they actually are very, very well organized at the back. And as much as Canada have had a lot of the possession, when you look at the number of good goal-scoring opportunities they've had, they're very few.
Well, the one real good chance was Tanya Frank there in the first half, and they haven't had one nearly as good as that since.
And the danger now, 2-0 down, there's no point for Canada in sitting back. The danger is that you leave yourself exposed to actually conceding more goals.
Well, if you're going to lose, I suppose it doesn't matter whether it's 2-0, 3-0, or 4-0. But they're definitely in trouble here with less than half an hour to go. Isabelle Morneau chasing that one down unsuccessfully. There's no quit in them, but the danger now is they're running out of time against a very stingy Russian team, which, as you say, Bob, only allowed 2 goals against Norway, didn't allow any against Japan.
And in terms of a tactical game plan, you'd have to credit the Russian squad and their coaching staff with coming into this game knowing what they needed. They needed a draw at the very worst. They had that. Looked a little bit on their heels in the first half, but actually from the second half onwards seemed to have tactically adjusted so that they're not as far pushed back into their end as they were in the first half.
Amy Walsh for Canada. And that ball goes out. Shannon Rosenau there. And after a couple of initial touches, I don't know if Silvana Bertini has had much touch on the ball since.
I think that's more indication of how strong the Russian defense has been. I think they've got numbers back there. The Canadian strikers really aren't getting a lot of opportunities to get the ball in behind the defenders. They're marking them very tightly.
Tatiana Cheverda is down for Russia, and it gives the Canadians an opportunity to hydrate, and the Russians. If Russia holds on for this win, they will be into the second round, along with Norway in Group C. As Chiverda goes off on the stretcher. Another look at what happened to her there. It was Charmaine Hooper on her.
Charmaine just seemed to clip her as she was releasing the ball. And my inclination would be that she needs a rest, and the rest of the players on the field need a rest, and it was an opportune time to go down.
Less than 20 minutes now, plus stoppage time, left to go in Canada's World Cup for 1999, unless they can pull off a miracle here. Basically, that's what it is, down by 2. Harvey chips that one in front, and Petko comes down with it. Isabelle Harvey continues to perform here for Canada, despite the challenge ahead now.
Well, it looks bleak for Canada right now, and Russia seem in control. They're really not allowing any good goal-scoring opportunities. There's the odd cross that's coming into the box, but all it'll take is one goal, and that will up the fortunes of the Canadians and perhaps get the Russians back on their heels a little bit. But right now, Russia look quite comfortable in dealing with whatever Canada has to send at them.
Russia clearing the ball forward.
Canada on a whole, though, I have to say, has played quite well defensively. I haven't seen too many chances other than the 2 goals that they've scored, and they've been from, like you said, 25 yards out.
Well, they've taken advantage already and scored on their chances. There was only one other chance they had, that coming late in the first half when Grigorieva sent one in and Letuchova headed it forward, but it didn't have a lot on it, and Nikki Wright was there. But other than that, they're only chances they've scored on. Russia pushing forward here again. There's Letuchova. Back pass for Grigorieva. They're teaming up again, those two.
Grigorieva not frightened to shoot either. She tried actually to shoot from that distance there with a Canadian player draped all over her. And obviously there's good reason for them to be not frightened to shoot, because they've hit 2 cracking goals in this game already.
And another substitution for Russia. Chiverda, who was hurt there, is off, and Yulia Yutkevich is on for her. Yutkevich wearing number 2 for Russia, and there she is putting the ball back in play. And it'll be a corner kick to Russia.
Well, at the start of the second half, Russia were taking their time with their set plays. They're 2-0 up. They don't seem to be all too bothered about taking their time. Now, they obviously feel in control, and quite frankly, they look in control as well.
There it goes into the box and up, and Nikki Wright barely got a hand on that. I don't know if she misjudged her timing on it. That was a tough one to get to, and she, at the last second, got her hand on it.
It looked like a routine save initially. She must have had a little stumble on the way back, which resulted in her parrying the ball away.
Very close to being 3-0 at that point.
Strange, went very high and then just dipped right down.
Canada coming forward. Hooper tackled there, and that's a foul. Canadian team not showing a whole lot of offense right here. It almost looks as though that second goal has really done it to them. That one by Fomina. Janine Helland sends it in, and Petko is there to come down with it.
Well, Petko has dealt with everything in all 3 games to date. She's looked very, very competent.
There's Savina, the goal, or pardon me, it's Fomina who scored the goal. That's Savina, another substitute who came on in the second half. Isabelle Morneau challenging her. Russia controlling the ball here in the Canadian zone. Oh, a good challenge there. Canada come away with it. And here's Rosenau. Has she got the speed here to get a crack at it? Yes, she does. And Petko makes the save.
Good job by Rosenau, but also good communication in the Russian defense. Petko stayed because she knew that the Russian defender was channeling her down the side, and a shot from that angle was never going to beat Petko.
That was Yulia Yuchkevich, the defensive substitute who came on moments ago. Step for step with Rosenau on that one.
Good effort by Rosenau.
Loose in the box, and there's a goal for Canada. And it's 2-1. And so just like that, they're right back in it.
Well, Russia have now gone from being comfortably ahead to now having to think about it. There's approximately 15 minutes to go. Here we see the corner. Good initial challenge by Jared Donnelly, and then Hooper with a little flick into the corner of the net.
Hooper just got above everybody there on the second touch inside the box to put it in for Canada. Charmaine Hooper, and now Canada trail 2-1.
Charmaine's got to be excited about that, and the team's got to, you know, really lift it up a notch and try to get in their end as much as possible.
Isabelle Harvey now. We shall see. Will this give them the boost they need? They've still got to score twice more. A tie is not enough. Russia will advance with a tie. Canada would be out of the tournament.
Well, it certainly gives Canada every incentive, because one more goal, they're in a tie, and they'll certainly have the Russians back on their heels. And in fact, this goal that they've scored right now is obviously going to put some panic into the Russian team.
Charmaine Hooper with her second goal of the tournament. Canada now trying to apply the pressure. Harvey for Rosenau. He's pulled down just outside the box, and it's Canada's ball. And that, I wasn't sure if it was going to be a booking or not. But anyway, yes, it is a booking for Karesova. Number 4, Natalia Karesova, booked on that one.
Canada's crossing today has been much better than it was in the previous two games. They scored from the previous corner.
Isabelle Harvey to take this one. He sends it in there far side, and it's headed in front and just off the mark.
And now we see Petko complaining to her defenders. Previous to the Canadian goal being scored, there was none of that. Good ball in from Harvey. Bertini.
It was Bertini who got above everybody and headed that one just off the post. Hooper's goal in the 76th minute. Time still working against Canada in this one.
Not much sense of urgency back there, is there?
Doesn't seem to be. There should be. Play still in the Russian zone. That's Hooper chasing that one down. Can't come up with it. Komarova.
Yeah, they have pushed up Helland.
That's Helland right there on Komarova. Went in deep, but cleared away. Here's Grigorieva. She is so dangerous. Natalia Karesova knocking that one away, and it's Russia's ball. There's some anxiety for you. Another substitution happening here. Shannon Rosenau is out of the game, and in her place is Sarah Maglio. Sarah Maglio, 21-year-old from Coquitlam, BC. Comes on in the late stages of this one for Shannon Rosenau.
She hasn't played
Sarah Maglio, yeah, she hasn't.
in any games. I think she came on very briefly against Australia in the second game. But the one thing that she is a goal scorer. She plays at Simon Fraser University and has had a prolific career there. So obviously the rationale behind that change is that she might have one in her for this game.
Oh, with any luck, she'll have two in her. That's what Canada needs to win this game. Here's Hooper down the left side.
A little bit of space there for Charmaine to take two.
And she had Maglio all alone inside the box, too. 10 minutes plus stoppage time left to play.
It's a corner kick for Canada.
Canada still looking for more, and once again, Harvey to take the corner kick. Hooper will wait in front. There it is, but it's chipped away by the Russian line. And they had one person down there looking for the fast breakout. Number 15, that was Larissa Savina.
Well, Canada now will be man for man at the back position. They pushed down forward already.
Russia's still on the attack here right now. Canada desperate to come away with it. That's Jerry Donnelly trying to get it from on her back. Couldn't do it, but eventually Canada clears. They've got to get on offense here. Here's Russia on the attack again. This is one of the goal scorers. Fomina putting it in. Nikki Wright just gets a hand on it to knock it away. Russia coming close there. Fomina has one as a substitute. She came close there to getting another one. Desperation time for Canada. Ball back in play, and Canada chips it away.
This particular referee has a tendency to blow late whistles. On that occasion, the foul occurred earlier, but she waited a long time until she actually blew for the whistle.
Which is strange, because actually Silvana had the advantage there.
Russian ball sent in. Russia not done yet. There's Hooper now. And here's Harvey. There's a good tackle there from Komarova. She knocked it out, and so it's Canada's throw in. Harvey looking for Maglio.
Russia's such a physically strong team.
Maglio, Hooper now. Leaves it for Amy Walsh. Harvey. Couldn't get that in front, knocked away by Burakova. Harvey fighting like a tiger out there. You can see it in her eyes. She will not give up. Walsh to Harvey. Walsh in front. And there's Petko to make the save as Tanya Frank was streaking in to try and get ahead on it. It's Russia 2, Canada 1. In a game Canada has to win, or their World Cup dream for 1999 will come to a crashing end here at Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey this afternoon.
Isabel Harvey has given 100%, been very effective going forward down the left, also has done a great job tracking back defensively, and certainly, and for that matter, the whole of the Canadian team have given 100% today. They're just running out of time at this point.
Russia just content to waste time when they have the ball now, and why not, of course, with time winding down. Grigorieva up to it again. Oh, there's a nice ball right there for Letichova.
Grigorieva is such a talented player and has shown what she can do this whole game, has created chances, has, you know, shot on goal so many times. She's such a world-class player.
Nikki Wright comes out to take over on that one. Letichova and Grigorieva, they play together like no other two players we've seen so far in this tournament, I don't think. They've been marvelous together. Bertini yet to get a real good opportunity. She had that one header that she just missed on, and here comes the Russian attack again, and there's another goal, and that will do it right there. That's Elena Fomina's second goal of this second half.
And Nikki Wright was left a little bit exposed there, but at this stage in the game, Canada need to send players forward, and there was always a likelihood that they'd get caught having pushed players forward, and that's exactly what happened on that occasion.
Well, you talked about it all through the second half. When they're down, they'd have to push players forward, and just like in hockey or anything else, you expose yourself when you do that. Janine Helen unable to get back there. And so Elena Fomina has 2 goals in the 66th and the 86th minutes.
Great run from the middle of the park from Fomina. And Nikki Wright unlucky, actually got a hand on it, but couldn't keep it from going into the back of the net.
And so now it's 3-1 with 3 minutes and stoppage time to go, and that's it. Canada came in here with hopes of finishing in the top 8 and getting to the Olympics in Sydney. The top 8 would qualify for that event, and that's not going to happen now.
The most devastating result for Canada was the first game against Japan. They needed to get a win there. They knew that they'd be favorites to win. They only picked up a tie, were beaten by the Norwegians, still were in with a chance if they won today, but I don't think they've ever really recovered from that initial opening game against Japan where they only picked up a point.
Very disappointing afternoon for the Canadian team here at the World Cup, trailing 3-1 with hardly any time at all left, and their World Cup tournament will end here today. Russia will move on. Now there's, I think that was nearly an own goal from Burakova. Right at her keeper, Petko, and she's wondering, what was that?
Well, interestingly enough, I thought the ball was off the field once Isabelle Harvey crossed, and it looked like it was well over the line.
Corner kick for Canada, Isabelle Harvey. And there's a header right there, and it's knocked away again at the last minute.
And that set play worked exactly the way they wanted to. A flick onto the near post, and it almost caught Bertini by surprise at the far post.
Canada's been very dangerous on these corner kicks, and Russia looking a little tentative at the back on these.
That one didn't happen. Hooper was there. She couldn't get a foot on it. And Russia is there to send it away. Not out of danger, though. And it'll be another one for Canada here. Canada applying pressure, but the challenge is just too great here, trailing by 2 goals, needing a win. Jerry Donnelly will watch for this one. There it comes across, and it's headed out. Tanya Frank, bloodied but not bowed. She has played well here today.
The 2 wide midfielders have perhaps been Canada's best players, Isabelle Harvey on the left and Tanya Frank on the right.
Russia content just to play the string out here against Canada.
Another late call there.
Another late call on that one. The Chinese referee here has really made it difficult to figure out what her approach is here because she is so late blowing the whistle on some of these plays. Here's Harvey. Challenged by Komarova. There it is again.
Another very late whistle. I don't know whether she's trying to play the advantage, but she's still going to have to blow the whistle quicker because it's confusing the players right now.
Grigorieva has played so well in this one, as she did in the 5-0 win over Japan. And Russia will move through to the quarterfinals. In the quarterfinals, the winner in Group C, which will likely be Norway, will play the second-place finisher in Group D. And here comes Russia again. That was Savina, tackled in the box by Isabelle Morneau.
And that was a good battle between Morneau and Savina. Savina initially getting the better of Morneau, but Morneau battling back and forcing the corner.
So if it was to finish the way it is right now, Norway would move on to play likely Sweden, while Russia would play China in a quarterfinal match. Still some games to be played, and there's the next goal, the 4th goal for Russia. This time is number 14, Olga Kareseva. Wow.
You know, that's really disappointing because it's not really a 4-1 game.
No, people will look at the score line and assume that Canada were well beaten. But what's happened is in the latter stages, and here we see the corner coming in, firstly, a free header, and then secondly, 3 Canadians back and 1 Russian forward, and the ball falls to the Russian forward.
And so it's now 4-1 for Russia. And this must be the most difficult time of all for the Canadian players out here on the field, knowing that they're out of time, knowing that it's insurmountable.
At this point, as much as you would like to continue to fight, you're pretty disheartened, and you just want to hear that final whistle because you know it's only a couple of minutes away.
Probably even less than that at this point. We're well into stoppage time here. So Canada will go home disappointed, and there was some talk about how this World Cup would affect the future of the program for women's soccer in Canada, and we'll have to wait and see if there is any fallout over this result.
Well, if there is any fallout, it's not strictly related to the women's team's program. The senior men's side were inactive for almost 18 months after we didn't qualify for France '98. And so it's not just the women that are affected by it, it's every program once you conclude a portion of it.
Canada will finish the tournament with a record of no wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses. A draw against Japan, losses to Norway and Russia. And so Canada has yet to win a game in World Cup competition.
They have exactly the same record that Canada had in the last World Cup.
That's right. Very same record, failing to advance. Here's Harvey again. One more time, perhaps, looking for Sarah Maglio.
Perhaps the biggest difference between the last time around and this time is I think expectations were certainly much higher this time around. Looked at the group initially and felt that certainly Japan were beatable, and also Russia. But Russia have come in and I think surprised, well, not I don't think, I know they've surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Russia and how they've played. Definitely didn't know what to expect from them, but their style of play is really nice. They're a solid team, and they're a very nice possession-oriented team.
Well, there was a lot of talk as this World Cup began that a lot of the world has caught up to the United States, or at least is catching up to the United States, who are clearly one of the class teams in this field along with Norway. And we're seeing that some of these countries have caught up. Countries like Russia, perhaps, or at least are catching up because they're much better. This is their first time in the World Cup. They've never qualified before. Germany is a strong side. Brazil has improved tremendously.
North Korea beating Denmark.
North Korea beating Denmark.
Well, what we can look forward to are some very, very interesting quarterfinal matchups. We don't know what they'll be just yet, but from what we've seen with Brazil, with Germany, it's going to be very exciting.
And mercifully, the final whistle blows here at Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Canada's World Cup dream comes to an end. Russia, they are continuing on. They'll have a quarterfinal date next week. The final score, Russia 4, Canada 1. Back with a wrap-up in a moment.